Welcome to Tuesday.
Hello YouTubers, this is noobifier. I started this new playlist and series, Community Concerns, because I have more time to research. If you missed the past week's installments, this playlist could be started like a podcast when you're stuck in traffic or doing something like organizing your wiring. A solid shout out to Nerd Show and Tell. Consider bookmarking it and checking in every once in a while to get caught up to date with what the community is talking about. And if you have fun, please do me a favor and share it with friends or org mates. Today is the 1st of February 2022. I try to do these on Tuesday, and I'm going to try to choose threads that are well presented and have good banter back and forth. It's up to you to comment your comments here in the comments to let me know how I can tweak this new weekly segment. Let's begin. Today there are some really great topics that steer mostly clear of pure salt with quality questions and answers. Citizen Delta Patcher presented a positive post saying that they were very happy to see the little improvements that were added in secret to the PU. They noticed that there was now a button to open the ramp on the Cutlass series, that the 300 series had a ramp that seemed to work with basic item storage, improvements to the GUI when dealing with inventory, and some others. The point was to highlight that progress is still being made and that we notice. FIBA added that prison gameplay balance functions in a way that makes much more sense, and then the salt flowed from Annabelle Huxley, where they listed 7 items that were now newly broken, but then Theron, the defender of truth, called them out as highlighting that those items aren't actually new broken items. So nice try, Annabelle. I do have the post linked up if you'd like to add your thought. Are there fixes that really upset you that seem to have been recently repaired? Comment in the comments here and perhaps even on Spectrum. Next, Zach Rotten, which is a great name, is asking the community to sharpen their pitchforks and hatchets with a petition to all pledgers. They stated that the game has been in development for the longest alpha that they themselves have ever witnessed. A sidebar, I don't know how many they have seen, but this is my first and only time I'm watching an alpha. So Zach, can you please tell us if your number is above 2 alphas to set yourself up as a subject matter expert in the field of observing game alphas, right? Come on. Moving on, they're frustrated by the number of issues that they encounter when playing, stating that it would take them days to list them all on the issue council. They ended up with a plea to join in the revolt, to do something about it now so that their grandchildren might actually see the game release. It's quite funny. I'm going to first say that usually the way I find it works best is to identify the main issue and then offer a suggested course of action to address it rather than just flame war. Just to say that something sucks will get you 132 Picards and 34 popcorns. They want the people with influence to join the revolt, and I would suggest that top-down, Chris Roberts might have the most influence, and then there are the Pappies and the Z's, but in my opinion, CIG isn't often influenced by any community or any of its so-called influencers. So, some said that CIG is doing a great job, some commented they expected the thread to get locked down in minutes, but it was the weekend so it didn't. But specifically in this case, I would say that their complaint is so general and broad that it's easily answered with a, yeah, thanks tips, the game is buggy, you're the last to know, and it'll be polished in the future. That it is basically operating as expected despite having issues. So to the OP, which is original poster, because some of you didn't know what OP was last time, so the person who started the post, can you please pick a more specific issue and why it needs to be triaged and addressed before others? Do any of you have any outside-of-the-box ideas on this subject that you would like to offer in the comments? We are interested. Next, Ming asked if anyone actually reads any section other than general in Spectrum, and they do have a point because all of the other sections are post graveyards. So if you post and you actually want a discussion, you post in general and hope that the moderators don't move it elsewhere, which they do very fast. Of the 20 replies, 15 said no, that they don't, and the others said that they do kind of venture beyond general, but they may only go as deep as off-topic or concierge, which is basically general somewhere else. I was actually intrigued by the post, so next week I plan to expand my search beyond just general. Do you look outside of the general section? Or perhaps the question should be, do you look at Spectrum at all? Comment in the comments. Lord Shracklin 123 asked the age-old question, if mines are supposed to kill people, why do they have red lasers on them? This is easy, but it began a huge debate because although real landmines do kill people, their actual intent is to delay or force an enemy force into a new path when combined with topology. So, like putting a small minefield in an open field next to a river and in between a mountain. And Just so people know, actual military minefields, through the laws of armed combat, yes, that's a real thing, need to be clearly marked all around. Twice as visible towards the friendly, but it does need to be visible towards the enemy. This is back to the fact that visible mines still are able to achieve an effect. Within any game, the Claymore, yes, is a cheap kill, but it's a cheap kill and a win regardless. So developers do put a little red laser on them to give other players a chance to defend. This is still good cat and mouse gameplay. Back to the OP's post though, they also suggested that the laser could be invisible to the naked eye, but that a player could add a specific device to their gear to see them, a piece of tech. This thread had a bunch of saber measuring back and forth, where some self-proclaimed experts were feeding the thread misinformation about mines in war zones needing to be clearly marked, and others who correctly tried to correct the misunderstanding. Archangel Ultra created a list of scenarios demonstrating how this could be added to the game with a result. You could leave them invisible in-game and the enemy would find them either by having one enemy blow up or witness a random NPC being blown up. Either of these should give the miner a crime stat for killing the minee. Leaving them marked and visible provides that delay nuisance gameplay of having to go through a destroy or a disarm activity. Some reminded the discussion that minefields and IEDs are not the same, and that was very important to remember that there are differences when posting in their comments. Some liked the idea of the invisible indicator until viewed through a special piece of tech, but then others said that if that was added, that 100% of the players would simply equip such a device, thus resulting in the same start state of the visible lasers. One situation where this could be considered gameplay would be to use this gameplay with EMP mechanics. What are your thoughts? The post is linked up for you if you want to have a read to the heavily moderated discussion. Do you think that mines are fine the way they are? Or do you feel that we need a deeper level of mechanic associated with them? Comments in the comments. Next, Nightsword asked, where is the actual incentive to grinding? They said that patch after patch of playing since the start, that they find themselves having more and more difficulty wanting to grind, or at least a feeling that it was worth their time. They cited griefers, PvPers, crashes, and bugs as each taking a toll on the profit potential that any money that they could make would be erased by losing everything to one of those aforementioned situations. They wanted help from the community in asking how others do it so that they could understand. Some said that there was actually no incentive, but others noted that there are many players wandering around with millions and millions of dollars, so it must actually be possible. Someone told the OP to just hit Alt F4 before blowing up, which would reset them back to where they were when they returned. Although that might be effective, this isn't a long-term solution to the OP's issue. Some actually said that they tried to play during low activity times on servers with low player counts, but then that was countered by saying that this confirms that there is actually an issue, or that there might be. If larger shards are added with large local player caps, I imagine that all of this will be amplified. We've been told in the past that all of these issues are going to be dealt with as more game systems are added, such as better law, better bounty, and other natural deterrents. Do you play and enjoy? Do you play and have no issues? Or do you agree with the OP that the game grind is too risky or costly because the current game issues are so pronounced? Are you sitting out patches until more game systems address some of these issues? Comment in the comments. And last, Alien War expressed a concern that physicalized damage and armor are essential systems for both Squadron 42 and PU, that it defines combat and balance in Star Citizen, and that the longer it takes to be added, the longer it'll delay both games. They were saying that it makes sense that if it's not actually added yet and being used in the PU, this could indicate the current state of Squadron, and they said to ensure the community didn't simply answer, well, that we're waiting on server meshing. ZX7 said that the development was actually very far along, posting a video that they found searching on the subject. Their attempt at humor worked very well, as this video was from 2015, people. My God. Makeshift both blew my mind and ruined any hope that I would see this in my lifetime with a huge list of components with physicalized damage. Their list of references included the slope of the surface, ricochet and how it would propagate, material properties, previous damage that had been applied to the surface, heat and fire propagation and their effect within the ship, friction between the round and the hull, how these things would be modeled differently in and out of a vacuum, hull and system damage from impact with other bodies in 0G, hull and system damage from impact with other bodies within the effects of gravity, and then damage from impact with various terrain types and objects, including liquids. Shit. This discussion went even deeper into a high-level university physics class, further solidifying the OP's original concerns. So I remind you that the developer said that none of this will be faked because it's all codependent on other systems, as demonstrated even during last Inside Star Citizen, where some of the bombs were blown out of their original flight path by bombs that had previously exploded. then this is really a huge blocker and cause for concern. I have the post up for you if you'd like to look at it. It's very interesting and well written. I want to know what your expectations are. Do you feel that this is close to release, or is it such a thick piece of the puzzle that we're waiting a couple years more to see it added? Is that an indication that we're actually quite far from seeing Squadron 42, or do you feel that CIG might just fake the system to get Squadron out the door? Your thoughts. Comment in the comments. I'm going to conclude this week's rundown there. These take time to research and put together, and you can support by suggesting the series to a friend or org mate, mention it at your org's weekly meeting so others get involved in the discussion without actually having to go to Spectrum. Thank you very much for spending your time with me. Fly safe, and I'll see you in the verse.